I'm Dane Rose. To understand what I'm going to be talking about, I want to reference the dimension of geometry. All things begin with the one, the uninterrupted ecology, the undifferentiated field, the infinite pattern, the one. And as we descend into the domain of human consciousness on the foundation of language, the one is divided into many. And we divide the one into many with words. Everything you see here is an undifferentiated ecology. It is an interconnected, interdependent ecology. And yet words pretend that this is a pinky, and this is a ring finger, and this is a middle finger, and this is an index finger, and this is a thumb. In fact, they are all connected to one body, to one family, to one culture, to one species, to one planet, to one solar system, one galaxy, one universe. All things began with an energy pattern less than the size of a pea about 25 billion years ago, at least according to the current myth. It's all come from that. And without that, nothing we see here exists. Now, the problem when we divide the one into pieces through the technology of language is we then must reassemble fragments of the one with language. Language structured on paradigms, structured on archetypes, structured with ideas. And if your words are like this, then what you can build is dependent on how these different shapes can be reassembled. If you only have 39 shapes and they're all roughly like this, well, you can build anything you can build with 39 blocks. But you're not going to get a beautiful sphere. You're not going to get transcendent music. It doesn't come from 39 blocks. You get little hints of it here and there. Now, the deepest wound that every human being bears is the delusion of separation from the one, from the whole, from the uninterrupted, undifferentiated ecology. We pretend that we're separate with the technology of words that distinguish us in 1,000 different ways, in 1,000 different dimensions, and say that that's out there, that's the other, and it's not connected to me. I'm different in this way, I'm different in this way, we say with language. Now we can remember, we can put some of the pieces back together to feel that connection. In a little bit over here and a little bit over there, we can remember some of our relationship with all that is. But so much of it is lost, meaning the fragments of language don't assemble to reveal the innate interconnectedness with all things. And so there's a longing. There's a longing for home. There's a longing for healing. There's a longing for wholeness, to go back to the one. Our words are not adequate to take us all the way home. We try so hard to put the pieces back together again, and they form a broken mirror. We look in that mirror and we see pieces of ourselves. We don't see how it all fits together. And some of the pieces are missing. And in those areas where the words are not adequate, we feel alone. We feel separate from the one that we always were, that we always are, that we always will be. The one before it was broken and obscured with language. Now, we navigate and see what we can build. We establish relationships, relays of energy, through language. If science is the right paradigm, we say, then this must lead to this. There must be a cause, there must be an effect. We see what we can build within the current paradigms, within the current sequencing of words, within the codes that we are familiar with, that we have adopted from our family. And we see what we see. And we see a very small portion of all there is to see. What can be composed with language is a tenth of a tenth of a tenth of a tenth of all there is to be seen. And in the void that we cannot see, in that unknown, in the blackness, we feel alone. Well, words, like combination locks, can construct energy fields in human consciousness. And energy in human consciousness can unfold, can express itself in words if we have the words and the paradigms to put them in. Right? If we shape a windsock and the wind blows, then the energy is the wind, and the shape of the wind becomes the shape of the windsock. Now, if we build a windsock like this, then the energy takes that shape. If we build a windsock like this, then the energy takes that place. If we build a windsock like this, then the energy takes that shape. So we've got two ways to pair and work towards a pairing of shape and energy. One is to have the technology of constructing shapes and see what energy emerges out of them. And this is largely the path of Western culture, to construct ideas, to construct and extrapolate thought in lineal patterns, and then reveal certain things out of that sequencing. We can also, as in an Einstein, have an inspiration, an energy, and allow it in a dreamscape, allow it to take a shape out of a dream as a gift, where the shape emerges as imagination, where we follow an energy into a form that we didn't know that we knew, we didn't know was out there. And then we follow that into a form that we did not expect. And this is the gift, the gift of inspiration. To allow a form to emerge out of an energy as if guided by something more complex, something more beautiful and true than the lineal paths of the conscious mind within the boundaries of the current paradigms. Something new is brought into the world. But it takes a skill, it takes a certain facility to be able to allow that which is new to come in. It takes a surrendering to the new and an awareness of what we are letting go of. Because in order to let this pattern, let's look at this triangle of structures and things, in order to let this energy, and we've got to delete certain structures so that the new structure can come in unencumbered by the attachment to old shapes. Because if I hold on as this circle tries to emerge, and if I hold on to this pattern of paradigms and thoughts with attachment, then I don't see the circle. I see a curve here and a bit there, and it seems to obscure the existing status quo, and so I reject it as invalid, because that which I call valid is being violated, is being obscured, is being muddied by this new thing. The crucifixion of Christ, the crucifixion of what is being newly born, because it does not conform to the dogma, to the old. It must be sacrificed because we are making the old traditional patterns sacred. Right? Christ must be sacrificed to protect the Roman power structure. And then numerous structures of culture and energy around the world have been murdered no less viciously, no less consistently to protect the new dogma, which is Christianity, the structure that others must die for, be sacrificed for. If you don't believe in Jesus, we will kill you, we will rape you, we will enslave you. So this is a tension inside each one of us as beauty, truth, and goodness, as the ideal is continually offered to us in forms that we cannot comprehend, in forms that threaten to take us into the unknown. And we reject it as the spiral starts to enter. We reject it. It's muddying the water. It's clouding the lines. It's confusing me. And it must be killed to protect the status quo, the current order, the norm. This is the way it is, and it's like this, and it's like this, and it's like this, and this is why it's like this, and it's always going to be like this. The need for certainty, the need for control, the need to cling on to the family, to the familiar. To let a more graceful thing in, we must let go of the dogma. And not just the lines and constructs of the dogma, but the dogma itself. We must be open to the ever-changing shapes of the infinite field within the undifferentiated ecology, to the feminine path of the meandering wave of chaos, of birth and surrender, of attachment and letting go, of in-breath and out-breath. But what if we're not an Einstein? What if we can't allow this new inspiration to take a beautiful new form? We're open to the power of relativity and other such what if we cannot expand the structured mind? Do we risk insanity? Because the difference between genius and insanity is that the genius can find their way, can navigate the complexity and the chaos, whereas the insane lose all reference point to order. When the old order falls away, they cannot grasp the complexity of what is emerging, and so it becomes meaningless rather than vastly more complex. And the order is lost, and so nothing has any clear relay of energy anymore. The boundaries are lost. We go insane. Now, there's one kind of insanity that I want to talk about because I experienced it this morning. And it is among the more significant experiences in my life. And what I've shared gives a context for it. There is a self, there is an energy field that is more beautiful, more true, more good, more integral, more dimensional, more magnificent than any energy signature I have been able to construct in my personality, in my paradigms, my beliefs, my ideas, my words. It's more beautiful, more true, more good than anything that my cult has given me, my culture, my family. What I've been told, you are this, you are that, men are this, men are that, is so cold, so dead, so linear, like fallen logs in a once great forest, marking the grave of the uninterrupted ecology of the undifferentiated one. And so I have these fallen logs with which to construct my identity, these carefully sawed, hewn stumps that once were trees. And there's a great sadness for all that has been lost that cannot be measured, in order to attain all that has been gained that can be measured. knowing that what was lost is much greater than what was gained. That the value of the logs cannot approach the value of a forest canopy. But I don't have the eyes to see the canopy or the talent to reconstruct it. I can simply get out my tape measure and measure 20-foot lengths, and remove the knots, the branches. That's all I can do. Because in my cult, this is who I am. The question is what to do with the sadness that cannot be felt because it cannot be put into language. Well, this morning as I woke up, I was in touch with an energy signature. More beautiful than anything that I could construct, more true than anything I could build with words, more good than anything that I could define as goodness. And the question is what to do with it. How do I hold it? How do I relate to that energy? And I couldn't, because I do not have the skill to build the paper bag that can hold it. Because paper and bags aren't congruous with its nature, with its form. There's no place in my cult where I can go to worship this energy or to channel it and have it be honored by others. There's no place I can go to receive this energy, and there's no place I can go to give this energy, because it is too big to fit into the cracks of a corrupt and broken world. Corrupted by language, broken by the illusion of separate shapes. There's nowhere to go. And everything that my soul could see as I imagined expressing this energy in this and this and this, there was no place to put form to that energy. It was too foreign for the cult. And so I let it take its own way. In the images in my mind and the sounds that came through in the song, in the da 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 la da 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 la da da la da 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 la da da. But it was beyond these sounds. These sounds more familiar, less radiant than the sounds yak 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 yakka-tikka-tikka-da, pa-da-dee-da, ah-da-da-da-da. These shapes, these sounds, unfamiliar, disconnected with family, have so much more life and energy. Ha! Ha! So much more dimension than anything I know, than anything I can construct. And I felt at home, and I felt nourished, and I felt at peace, and I felt, if only you, the one who comes through, if only you could be here with me, in my mind, in my body, in my heart, I would not be alone. Life would be worth living. My pain is healed. My shame does not exist. Ha! Within a shape, within a sound that has no name. And then I realized that in the nonsense, in the letting go of order, letting go of the idea, there are no lines to block the whole and radiant energy of the One coming through. Now my mind wants to figure out what to do, how to respond. Could I build it up through this? Could I have a party? That's a word, it's a paradigm. Could I get people to behave like this and like this so that we could exchange this energy? Those are all ideas. And every path I took, trying to bring this One into form, broke the energy, led nowhere, but to the gateway of despair. That here again I must sacrifice the self, the psyche, the One, on the altar of ideas. Because it couldn't fit into this idea, and it couldn't fit into that idea. It couldn't fit into this paradigm, and it couldn't fit into that. The identities that have constructed people's egos don't fit into it either. I cannot find the group in this state, let alone communicate how to convey the interaction. You're supposed to think, no, don't think, go beyond thought and then do this kind of thing in this energy. Do you get it? Get what? Get what? Explain it to me. No, it doesn't fit into language. Can you meet me there? Meet me where? Where? Describe it to me. No, it doesn't fit into shapes and spaces. I can't describe it. Can you join me? I don't know how to get there from here with language, with ideas, with construction. But it's such a beautiful thing. It's such a beautiful moment. It's such a wonderful hallelujah. It's the only thing worth living for. It is the elixir of life. And it's here, all around us, outside the ideas. How to build a shape, how? Right? That's an idea. How is an idea? It's just there, just there. And then I lost it. The constructs that I used to navigate my day, the constructs of time, of space, of sequence, of preparation, of ideas, of jobs, of roles, all these concepts piled in like riffraff in an empty bag, shredded gift wrapping, piled in. And I got through the day, descending again into fear, into paranoia, the fear of being left here in this world-filled mind, this word filled prison. Separate from myself, separate from the divine, separate from the one. Afraid of not being seen, afraid of losing my connection. But I wanted to mark the grave. Today, this morning, I woke up in grace. I woke up with that song of life that does not fit into anything in particular. And I felt at home, and I felt at peace. And as I put on the clothing of this life, the clothing of my cult, it dimmed from view and faded to a point where I could not see it clearly between all the shapes of all the thoughts and all the quests and all the questions and all the ideas. I couldn't see it clearly any longer. So what is left in the evening here is the grave. Here lies beauty, truth, and goodness that doesn't fit into language, into quests, into philosophies, into dogma. But it helped me understand the power of nonsense. How can you let more energy into the space with one sound that comes out of nowhere for no reason, and with 1,000 verses of constructed ideas? How can that happen, right? You see, because, it has no meaning. When you make shapes without meaning, sounds without meaning, energy without meaning, it has no boundary, no language. You cannot say that it's better than you, less than you, anything. You cannot argue with it. You can just let it in, or you can block it. Let what in? What in? What am I letting in? I don't let this in. If you have a meaning, well, that meaning means this, and this means this, and this. But how can you have a meaning for, you know? Even that, that's an example. It's a meaning. It gets too tight. You have to go deeper into the nonsense, deeper into the unstructured shapes, the beautiful chaos, the beautiful unknown. That's where the healing lies. That's where the majesty that cannot fit into the shapes of our dogmas wait to bless us with their grace. And I touched it for 20 minutes, for 30 minutes, before my panic about losing it, and my desire to contain it and understand it through language, obscured it. As I put on the masks to see it more clearly, it vanished on the other side of the mask, called words. But it's there. It's waiting. It's there. All the time, beyond words. It's there. And it makes sense, because a meaning has a shape. And we can draw a very nice shape. We can draw a shape, a very nice shape. But there's stuff outside the shape and there's stuff inside the shape. which dishonors the energy that is permeating the shape. You see, you cannot be blessed with wholeness, with that energy, until the shape is let go. And what remains is the undifferentiated one, the undifferentiated sound, the completeness, the totality of it all.